with me, toy fans.
The Action Man Emergency series featured a range of first response personnel who were equipped to tackle any form of emergency incident. And this series is somewhat of a detour from the more traditional military uniforms that the line was known for. Yet their journey from toy concept designs to a fully realised retail product range would likely not have been pursued if it weren't for a very important decision that Palitoy made back in 1965. When the Palitoy company obtained a licence to bring Hasbro's 12-inch range of G.I. Joe action figures to the British market in the 1960s, the name was changed from G.I. Joe to Action Man for two very important reasons. The first was that the name G.I. Joe was very American, and Palitoy's marketing department felt strongly that the name would not appeal to British customers. The second and more important reason was that the name G.I. Joe had a very strong military connotation, and Palitoy could see immense potential in the brand that stretched far beyond the likes of soldiers, sailors and airmen. The name Action Man was a stroke of sheer brilliance, as it afforded Palitoy the opportunity to take the brand in different directions, and before the 60s were over, Action Man had become an explorer and a sportsman. In 1977, Palitoy came out with an Action Man Wild West range, and the Space Rangers arrived later that decade. Yet one of the most underrated Action Man lines of all time is the Action Man Emergency series that debuted in 1978. Featuring medics, firefighters and all manner of rescue personnel, this is a really fun line to collect, and they really pop on a display shelf with all of the bright primary colours that are used throughout the different uniforms. And now, thanks to my recent acquisition of the very rare Action Man Emergency Fire Tender, I have finally completed the Emergency Series collection. It's been a 40-year-long journey for me to complete this Action Man sub-series, and just like the heroes depicted in this line, I'm glad I never gave up on rescuing these toys. Hey toy fans, my name is Tony and welcome back to the Analog Toys YouTube channel, where we're obsessed with bringing you the true history of vintage toys and action figures. The Action Man Emergency series featured 6 unique outfits and 1 vehicle, including the Highway Hazard, the Underground Rescue outfit, the High Rescue set, the Medic and the Crash Crew, with the Action Man Fireman perfectly suited to ride in the Emergency Fire Tender. While the Police Motorcyclist and the Police Motorcycle were never officially branded as Emergency Series items, most collectors consider them to be an extension of this range because they fit in so well with the other sets. They were also featured alongside the rest of the Emergency series in Action Man catalogues, and this very rare photo shows the police motorcycle on the top shelf of the Action Man Emergency display at Toy Fair 1978. Palitoy held so much stock in the Emergency series that the range was featured front and centre on the cover of the 1978 official equipment manual. And while I do own one of these in much better condition, I wanted to show this one in the video with all its wrinkles and tears, because this one is a childhood survivor that has been with me for almost 4 decades. Throughout the 1970s, most Action Man uniforms were sold as a complete set in large size carded packaging that included all the required clothing and equipment. But the Emergency series bucked this trend, with the various pieces of clothing and equipment needed to complete each outfit being made available across either 2 or 3 smaller card backs. One exception to this rule was the Firefighter, because while this outfit was available on several smaller cards, the uniform did also get an Action Man Footlocker box release complete with equipment. I assume the idea behind splitting the clothing and equipment onto separate card backs was to offer Action Man items at a lower price point, but it still frustrated me as a kid, because I only had 2 of the 3 card backs needed to complete the Underground Rescue set. This outfit consists of an orange jumpsuit, white caving helmet and yellow rope gear, and this combination of bright colours really makes the Underground Rescue set visually arresting. Fully equipped to rescue people from caves, the Underground Rescue set also includes a lantern, a mess kit and a compass, along with a climbing axe and a right-angled torch. And the helmet features a rubber chin strap, and there is another torch permanently fixed to the front of the helmet. However, the best accessory is the rope ladder and grappling hook, and I had hours of fun with this in childhood, suspending my Action Man from all different kinds of household furniture. For anyone looking to acquire this vintage Action Man set, it is important to note that while the orange jumpsuit does look very similar to the one that came with the 1960s Action Pilot, they are different, and the easiest way to tell is by the closure. The 60s jumpsuit was fitted with a zipper, whereas the Underground Rescue version was supplied with 3 snap-together buttons. Juxtaposing the Underground Rescue outfit, we have the High Rescue set. And once again, this is a brightly coloured outfit that really pops on a display shelf. This set includes a yellow jumpsuit and helmet with a chainsaw and a chest winch accessory that is borrowed from the Hasbro G.I. Joe Adventure Team line. The winch fits over the figure's shoulders, and Action Man uses the crank to hoist up whatever load he needs to shift. Keeping us safe on the roads is the Action Man Highway Hazard, and this figure wears a navy blue jumpsuit and a yellow equipment vest. And this Action Man is equipped with a fire extinguisher, an axe, a large pair of bolt cutters and a working jack stand. To operate this jack, you simply plug the handle into one of the recesses on either side of the jack and turn the handle. Much like the Underground Rescue set, the Highway Hazard jumpsuit is also frequently mistaken for another item, as the reflective stripes running down each sleeve make this look similar to the Action Man Atomic Man jumpsuit. So again, if you're looking to pick up this set, it pays to have that attention to detail to ensure you have all the correct components to complete this outfit. Although the Highway Hazard is a fairly simple set, you could give the figure some additional tools by purchasing some of the Action Man Equipment Center cards that included workshop accessories, such as a sledgehammer, a pickaxe, a shovel, and the working winch that was only ever made available on an Equipment Center card back. The Action Man Toolbox is also a really cool accessory that is ideally suited to the Highway Hazard. This toolbox has an inset tray that can be lifted out, with the tray holding a drill and a hammer, and stored in the bottom of the toolbox we have a spanner, screwdriver and a pair of pliers. While this item was available on an Equipment Center card, most of us obtained this item back in the 70s through the Action Man mail-away star scheme. While many of the Emergency Series outfits were borrowed from Hasbro's G.I. Joe Adventure Team line, many of the workshop accessory items were designed by Palitoy, with Stuart Moore taking a break from his primary role as doll designer to develop these products. Supporting the Highway Hazard out on the roads, we have the Action Man Crash Crew. This outfit includes a blue tunic and trousers, tall black boots and a unique red helmet, and the figure is equipped for firefighting duties. The vinyl equipment belt issued to this figure is also used on the Action Man Firefighter, and it features several pouches that carry a variety of tools, including an axe and a torch, and a small pair of gold pliers. These pliers actually open and close, and due to being so fragile, they are easily the hardest to find accessory from this set or from the Firefighter. The Crash Crew set also includes a gas mask, which was first offered with the British infantrymen way back in 1967. Although the Action Man gas mask accessories are fairly easy to find, it is extremely difficult to acquire them with the clear plastic lenses still fitted, and if you are a completist, you'll want to ensure they have these parts included. Finally, we have the fire extinguisher that has a large cylinder and a flexible black hose connected to the nozzle, which can be fitted to the side of the cylinder for storage purposes. And Action Man uses this accessory for beating back the flames at a crash site. After these emergency personnel rescue people in danger, there is a medic on hand to treat the injured. The Emergency Series medic is dressed in an all-white uniform with a bold red cross on the front of his helmet and on the left breast of his shirt. This figure also wears a white belt with a small med pouch, and he carries a stethoscope and a high-tech medical monitoring unit. Although this set doesn't come with very many accessories, you can improve the overall look of the figure by adding equipment from some of the other Action Man medic sets that were released previously. The Action Man Firefighter is a personal favourite of mine from this series, and it came with a number of variations, and I'm lucky to own a few of them. The Firefighter looks terrific in his bold yellow helmet with gold badge. He carries a fire axe and the same equipment belt that came with the Crash Crew, and he wears a black firefighting jacket. 2 variations of this jacket were available during the late 70s, including a thin polyester version and one made from a thicker vinyl material, and I much prefer the glossy look of the vinyl jacket. This Action Man also wears tall black boots and dark blue trousers with a red stripe down each leg, and these are the same trousers issued to the Action Man Grenadier Guard. As previously mentioned, this uniform was available on individual Emergency Series cards, or as a complete outfit sold in the Action Man locker box style packaging. But there was one additional accessory that was only available on the emergency cards. The Firefighter backpack could be filled with water, and then when the plunger is depressed, water sprays out of the handheld nozzle. There is also a clip on the side of the backpack to store the nozzle when it's not in use, and this also doubles as an excellent spot to store his fire axe. This backpack is another example of how Palitoy sometimes borrowed existing tooling from the Hasbro G.I. Joe line to reduce the number of items that they had to design themselves when creating new Action Man products. Just prior to me starting work on this video, I received a very kind donation from a supporter of the channel named Evander, and he sent me a French version of the Firefighter uniform. The key difference between these releases is the French version has a chromed helmet instead of yellow, and when Evander sent me this, he included a letter in which he asked me if the helmet was made by Palitoy. While I'm not 100% certain, I do strongly believe that the helmet was designed by C.G. Arbois, the company that produced the Group Action Joe line for the French market. The reason for this is because the helmet actually resembles a French firefighter's helmet and not a British helmet, and according to the book Action Joe, the story of the French G.I. Joe, the European version of this outfit was released in 1977, and with the Action Man Emergency series not being released until 1 year later, it is most likely that Palitoy borrowed this accessory and changed the colour to yellow for the British market. I'm very grateful to Evander for asking me this question because I love uncovering these little Action Man mysteries. I'm also a sponge for any type of Action Man trivia, and until Evander asked the question, it had never occurred to me that this uniform may not have been a Palitoy creation. And after 30 plus years of collecting vintage Action Man, it's amazing to me that we're still always learning something new about Britain's favourite boys' toy. Now that I have my own small Action Man fire brigade, it's amazing to finally be able to display them on the emergency fire tender. This is easily one of the rarest Action Man vehicles ever produced, but it was not originally designed by Palitoy. Back in 1966, Hasbro released their own Crash Crew set and included it in the Action Pilot range, and this outfit was brought into the Palitoy Action Man line the following year. The original version of the Crash Crew adds a touch of flash to your Action Man display, with its fire suit that includes silver foil trousers, jacket, and a hood fitted with a translucent green face shield. This outfit also comes with the same fire extinguisher that was given to the Emergency Series Crash Crew set, although the 60s version has a silver band painted around the cylinder that is absent on the later issue release. The Action Pilot Crash Crew set also includes a strap on the back of the hood that could be used to carry the fire extinguisher cylinder, and I'm not sure if this is how they actually carried them in real life, but if they did, I imagine it would be very uncomfortable. Now I'm sure you're probably asking, what does all this have to do with the emergency fire tender? Well, to complement the G.I. Joe Crash Crew set, Hasbro also released the incredible Crash Crew fire truck.
Clear the decks for your new world of action fun with G.I. Joe Air Force. Handle emergencies with the new working G.I. Joe Crash Truck. It has a siren, flashing light, and a hose that pumps water. With the G.I. Joe Crash Crew set, you've got everything under control. Get each of the G.I. Joe Air Force items today. It's G.I. Joe from Hasbro.
Although the Crash Crew outfit was brought into the Action Man line in 1967, the fire truck wasn't sold in the UK until Palitoy decided to produce the vehicle in bright fire engine red and bring it into the Emergency series in 1978. This is one of the most gorgeous vehicles ever produced for the Action Man Transport Command, and the box art is simply stunning, with Palitoy opting to design the box to stand tall and upright on a shelf so that the artwork could portray the extended rescue ladder. I purchased this exquisite piece from the Leicester Vintage Toy Shop, and the owner Joe did me a really great deal on the price. That's why I'm wearing this Toy Shop on Tour t-shirt that he sent me, and you'll find a link to their channel in the description below. Seriously, check it out guys. If you're interested in vintage toys, they produce some really excellent TV-worthy content for YouTube. This is probably the nicest quality Action Man vehicle box that I have in my collection. Most of the other boxes that I own have stars cut out, because back in the day you only needed 21 stars to send away for a free Action Man figure through Palitoy's star scheme. So naturally, most people cut these out and sent them off to get their free figure, and as such, very few mint uncut vehicle boxes have survived today. The Emergency Fire Tender is a large vehicle capable of carrying multiple Action Man figures, with seats for two in the front cab and handrails located at the back, where a pair of firefighters can hang on and ride the rear rail, ready to deploy at a moment's notice. A black and yellow sticker trim runs around the bottom edge of the vehicle, with 2 silver stickers standing in for headlights. The front cab is fitted with a clear plastic windshield, and just below is another sticker printed with the words "Emergency Fire Tender." This vehicle is powered by 3 D-cell batteries that are stored beneath the front seats. A rotating switch is located on the dashboard, and when turned to the on position, a large red light at the front of the fire tender begins to flash, and it activates the working siren. I had to clean up the battery terminals on my toy to get the flashing lights to function, but I haven't been able to get the siren working. It's a shame that these 2 functions are not controlled independently by separate switches, because the siren sound is quite irritating. Even though the siren function does not work on my example, what you just heard is the actual sound that the siren makes, as a fellow collector kindly sent me an audio recording of his fire tender so that I could use it in this video. In addition to these light and sound features, there is a lot of extra play value incorporated into this toy. The emergency fire tender also has a built-in reservoir that can be filled with water when the nozzle mount is removed from the top. This water tank feeds a hose that extends out the back of the vehicle and runs to a nozzle that Action Man can use to extinguish a fire. To operate this feature, the dome plunger handle needs to be pumped up and down, but given the rarity of this toy and the fact that it has an electronic function, means I'm too scared to actually use it, for fear of causing water damage. A ladder accessory hangs from hooks on the right hand side of the fire tender, and situated inside the rear tray is a turntable that the ladder can be slotted into. This ladder can be extended and locked in place with a simple catch, and when extended to maximum reach, the fire tender ladder stands an incredible 34 inches in height, with the turntable allowing the ladder to pivot to any desired angle. The Action Man fire tender is bright, bold and beautiful, and a truly spectacular toy. This is grandiose toy making, the likes of which we rarely, if ever, see today. The Action Man police motorcycle was designed by Palitoy's display manager, who worked on the prototype at home in his spare time. As display manager, Brian Turner was responsible for coordinating Action Man displays at all the major toy fairs, as well as going to principal fairs and shop windows, designing and setting up dioramas. When Brian started work on what would eventually become the police motorcycle, he also created prototypes for a British racing bike and a scrambler bike. Each of these designs featured modifications and additions to the existing Action Man motorcycle model that was first introduced in 1976. When Brian presented the 3 completed motorcycle prototypes to the Palitoy marketing team, they decided to only proceed with the development of the police bike. Brian Turner held on to the racing bike and scrambler bike prototypes for several decades, before eventually auctioning them off in 2016. During the development of the police motorcycle prototype, Brian booked an appointment at the police headquarters in Leicestershire, and they brought out a bike which he photographed from all angles, and used these images for design reference. Soon after his successful completion of the Action Man police motorcycle, Brian transferred from the display team into a permanent role within the Palitoy design team. His talent and efforts clearly paid off, and deservedly so in my opinion. The Action Man police motorcycle is another gorgeous toy from this line, and with it being so unique when compared to the other, mostly green vehicles in the range, it was a piece that I doggedly pursued from the first moment that I became an adult collector. The police motorcycle was produced in white plastic with a chromed engine and wheels, and a blue translucent windshield that protrudes up from the fairings that Brian designed for this model. Blue and red stickers give the bike a pop of colour, and Brian also added a pair of panniers and a small telephone, which he positioned onto the fuel tank. There are also some really nice clear coloured lenses added to the motorcycle to represent lights. The police motorcycle was sold in a solid box, and the dynamic artwork is one of my favourite pieces ever created by Action Man packaging artist Dave Barnacle. Being quite fragile and with the white plastic being very prone to yellowing, this can be a challenging toy to acquire in decent, undamaged condition. Of course, a police motorcycle is useless without a rider, so Palitoy developed the police motorcyclist outfit for Action Man. The police motorcyclist is dressed in a snazzy black uniform that features silver buttons on the tunic and metal badges on the collar. This figure also wears a reflective orange crossbelt, a white police helmet with green visor, and tall black boots that are unique to this outfit. While these boots do look similar to the German jack boots and the boots that came with the Battle of Britain pilot, they are in fact manufactured from a different mould, and you can identify them by the two buckles sculpted into the side of the boot. First released in 1978 in lockerbox style packaging, the Police Motorcyclist was re-released a few years later on an Action Man Experts card, but each variation came with slightly different accessories. The first issue outfit came with a black scarf that was absent on the later release, and the Experts version included 2 traffic cones and a pair of cardboard signs. So if you want a truly complete version of the Action Man Police Motorcyclist, then you'll have to combine these different editions. These rare prototype images also indicate that the original concept for the Police Motorcyclist looked quite different, with a white visor peeking out from the front of the helmet, and a tunic that buttoned all the way up to the neck and appears to be made from a vinyl material, similar to what was used to create the Firefighter's jacket. There were also plans to produce a yellow traffic duties jacket for this figure, but those plans never came to fruition. Although the Action Man Emergency series never expanded beyond these 7 outfits and the 2 vehicles, Palitoy did work on at least one additional toy concept. This prototype for a police helicopter was also designed by Brian Turner, and I think it would have made a wonderful addition to the range. I also feel as though the Emergency series would have really benefited from the addition of a classic British policeman, complete with bobby helmet, and while I haven't got around to making my own custom version yet, I have built an armed British police officer to fit into my Emergency series display. To create this uniform I used a pair of Panzer Captain trousers and took an Action Sailor shirt, bleached it white and added Sergeant chevrons. I then accessorised the figure with a truncheon and a flak vest, belt and submachine gun from an SAS figure. And to complete the uniform I painted up a military police cap and added a blue and white checkered band, and I'm very happy with the final result. The Action Man Emergency series was very popular throughout 1978 and 1979, before most of the line was discontinued in 1980, with the only items remaining at retail in the early 1980s being the police motorcycle and rider, which lasted through to 1983. The complete collection of Action Man Emergency series figures and vehicles is quite staggering in scope, and with all the bright primary colours used, the visual impact of this range is second only to the Action Man ceremonial uniforms from the early 70s. Due to the larger scale of these figures, it can be challenging to find enough room to present these in a collection, but given the immense rarity and current market value of the fire tender, if you give that toy a miss, the rest of the Emergency series can fill out a shelf really well. And on a scale of 1 to 10, the display ability of these outfits is 11. When it came to creating toy versions of everyday real-life heroes, nobody did it better than Palitoy. And as much as I was a military enthusiast, even in very early childhood, my acquisition of the Underground Rescue set when I was around 4 or 5 years old made me want all the other figures in the range. For a really long time, many adult collectors somewhat overlooked the Action Man Emergency series in favour of the more popular military-themed toys. Yet I've noticed that enthusiasm shift quite dramatically in the last 10 years, as more and more people begin to realise what a truly underrated line this was. Acquiring these sets today is getting harder and harder, so if you are trying to complete this particular Action Man sub-team, then I wish you the best of luck. But for me, the emergency is over. So thank you all for watching, and if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to check out some of our other vintage Action Man content, you can click the links up here, or subscribe to the channel by clicking here, or consider supporting us on Patreon, where you'll get access to hours of exclusive content. I'm Tony from Analog Toys, and I'll see you in the next video.